Hello, my name is Dante Renee, and welcome to the 10 Room Bizarro YouTube page where I talk about films that I believe need to be talked about more. Like tonight's film, 1976, 1977, somewhere with the copyright release date, Joe D'Amato's Emmanuelle in Bangkok. Here it is, folks, starring Laura Gemser, part of the Black Emmanuelle series. I believe this is out of print. I bought this for a higher price about a year ago. This is the back of the Severin release. Severin has released this rare gem right here, and you can check out this YouTube page for my other videos on the Emmanuelle films, the Black Emmanuelle films, and there are more to come as well. So this is starring Laura Gemser, beautiful artwork on the front here. And I made some notes. This is a really special, very unique entry into the Black Emmanuelle series so far for me, I would say. Let's start off into this film because this is really an interesting one. You know, Emmanuelle is a reporter. She's a photographer, and she's typically sent on missions. In this particular film, she doesn't even get close to that particular mission, or we realize that there's another mission. We realize that the mission that she's sent on involving a king of sorts, we realize that there is another mission in the film which brings it into another world, another genre. She travels, of course, to Bangkok, and she also travels to Casablanca and eventually needs to go to Paris as well. Let's look at this film. First and foremost, let's look at the music. The music for the Black Emmanuelle films, or the majority of them, and the ones that I've looked at so far, have been scored by the amazing Nico Fidenko. He has such a unique style. And I would say the score for this film is almost the most popular or the most widely available. As I know this has a vinyl release, I know it's on CD as well. Most of the Black Emmanuelle films have scores that are on CD, but this also has a vinyl release, a special vinyl release that was done a couple years back. The music in here, we have some main themes that get repeated throughout the film. One of them is very playful, very groovy, and almost funny, almost in the areas of quirky. And I mean, it's so funny or so much fun, it's quirky. And that's one of the pieces, almost one of the main pieces of music in the film. We also have this jazz, exotic, Asian, smooth, airy, magical vibes to the music, 70s. We also have this exploitation, menacing, dangerous vibe to the music as well. We have tribal jazz fusion, tribal jazz, disco, funk. There's another thing that's utilized in here, and it's a staple sometimes in Nico's music, which is kind of utilizing voices as instruments and sometimes being put through like these weird synthesizers, and the voices sound weird. They sound almost haunting at times. And we also have some Middle Eastern flavors to the music as well, heavy on the hand percussion, also utilizing acoustic guitar. So there's a lot of variety to the music here, and the music is really just as diverse as the locations that she goes to, but it's also filled with interesting, contradictory emotions as well. We see that at the end of the film, this crazy sucker punch of an ending, we utilize part of the sucker punch of the ending has to do with the choice of music at the ending of the movie. It completely floored me. I couldn't believe it. We have a quote from one of the characters in the film about American women, that something along the lines of their favorite Americans are women. If it's an American woman, they can be accepting of Americans. We have a quote and a theme that definitely runs through this film, definitely, maybe even more so than the rest of the Black Emmanuelle films that I've seen so far, which is not living more than one day at a time, which would eradicate long-term commitments like marriage. We have some montages in this film. You know, Joe D'Amato, definitely see his style here, like in some of the other Black Emmanuel films. We have some montages. He's shooting from the ground up, makes the characters look larger than life. Different angled shots. He also has some very interesting editing techniques where they're almost timeless. Um, Things seemingly couldn't be happening in that order and then get repeated. It's very surreal, actually, and I really love it. We have this interesting character of kind of a hotel, a guy who works at a hotel, and her dealings with him and his shyness. We have an interesting stripper who's utilizing hot wax on her body. We also have the meeting of this American Republican husband and wife. And it's interesting because what eventually is the fate of this husband and wife, Republican, American couple, further emphasizes the theme of the movie, which is the living one day at a time. We have this wild stripper in here who utilizes ping pong balls out of her vagina. Yes, that's actually the most explicit thing in the film. We have a masseuse that Emmanuelle meets, an Asian masseuse who she soon befriends and goes on some journeys with, but I don't remember a formal goodbye to that character. And you're kind of involved in this world, a free world, freedom. This is a movie of very difficult relationships, and I feel that more than in any other of the Black Emmanuel films I've seen so far. Very deep, difficult reality of relationships. Um, we also have a party with a big bong, some bong hits. We have orgy, we have masturbation, we have voyeurism. Now these are all simulated. This is not hardcore. We have lesbian sex in this movie, but I'm also going to say there is, especially for the 70s, way ahead of its time for where we are in 2017. This is a film that really deals with like a real lesbian relationship, real a real lesbian relationship and gay issues, lesbian issues, and female issues and gender issues. Wow, there's a lot going on here. There's an interesting quote in the movie that somebody says about Emmanuelle, that she can control her ecstasy, and that her ecstasy or her sensuality or sexuality is not just based on her erogenous zones, it's based on her whole existence. Her whole existence, in a way, is an erogenous zone. We have some real animal fights in this movie as well, by the way. Quite disturbing and actually involving some blood. And one of the animal fights, and who wins in the animal fight, is actually quite shocking. So that actually dumbfounded me amidst my shock. Um, there's an interesting theme in this film that, really, that there are no perfect marriages, it seems to have in there. There's a kind of an element of saying no to sentimentality, to not let sentimentality get the best of you. We have a pretty crazy gang rape in this movie, but it's the result of the gang rape that would be extremely politically incorrect in 2017, which is a casual conversation and tidings of goodwill after a gang rape. That would be something completely you would never see in a movie nowadays. Emmanuelle is known to use her body to get what she needs, and in this particular film, she needs a passport at one point after it is stolen, and so she is able to use her body. We have an interesting theme of what makes an ordinary American wife as well in this movie. We do enter into the Mile High Club in this film. And as I've stated, a focus on the present. Only the present counts. interestingly, a couple of the women in this film are blonde haired, and Laura Gemser is not only a brunette. I mean, she's dark skinned, and it was very interesting in this particular film to kind of have the beauties of both different skin types and both different hair colors, and like very, very fair skin to dark skin, and kind of the beauties of both colliding in each other sexually. And I thought that that was very appealing to the eye. Um, there is a line about basically a fate worse than death is marriage. We enter into an archaeological dig when we go to Casablanca. So we are going to a lot of different areas, and when you go into a Black Emmanuel film, you are taking an adventure, and this film is no exception. You're taking an adventure to different countries in your house. Yes, if you want to take an exotic vacation, you pop in this film, you pop in a Black Emmanuel film, and you will take trips. Sometimes according to the title of the film, you will find out where you are going. We have belly dancing, nude belly dancing that erupts into an orgy in this film. We have a very sexy, wild lesbian bubble bath in the film, a focus on self-confidence, a theme of age and aging and being long in the tooth, and how that affects your mind and your state, and will you allow it to affect you? You have to allow it to affect you. And even a little look at alcoholism as well in the movie. There's a theme that true freedom starts here in the mind. It's interesting because, you know, for as sexual as Laura, as Emmanuel's character is, and these films are, she makes a difference between sexuality and sensuality and being vulgar. And there is a male character in here who does enter into vulgarity, and Emmanuel does not take kindly to it. There is real emotion in this movie. Real emotion. I mean, no joke. And I would say, while this is a sexploitation film, simulated, not hardcore, the sex scenes are very short, but effective and sexy and attractive, and the women are attractive. And I would say that people would find the guys exotic looking and attractive, and you'll be able to recognize some of the guys from other films in general. There is a real emotional core to this film that, for me, sets it apart from other Black Emmanuel films, as her mission. I mean, in a way, it's a very interesting love story, especially in the world of free love of Emmanuel's character. And there's a different mission in this film, and the film leaves you in a very bizarre note, with the music and with the intensity of the characters and so forth. We have different body types in the film, different breast sizes. As I said, the girls are all attractive in different ways, lots of diversity, and sexy. Here it is, folks. 1977, 1976, Emmanuelle in Bangkok. Thank you so much for watching the 10 Room Bizarro YouTube page.